Good morning and a very warm welcome to this edition of Perspective. I'm Shalini Verma. We'll start the program, but first a look at the headlines. Stampede at Allahabad railway station, several feared dead. UP government orders probe. Afzal Guru's hanging may reinforce feeling of alienation in Jammu and Kashmir, says Umar Abdullah. Ready for nuclear talks if US pressure stops, says Iran. Government may extend tax holiday on dividends earned overseas. And Gambhir dropped, Harbhajan recalled for the first two tests against Australia. Let's start the analysis with the national news stories in Nation Watch. Welcome back. We'll now analyze all the business-related news stories in Bazaar Bus. And we are joined by the editor with the Economy India magazine, Mr. MANOJ. Welcome to the program, Mr. Manoj. Let's start the discussion with the story that is the finance minister. He has asked the banks to improve the operational efficiency to bring down the interest rates. How do you really look at the statement that the finance minister has made, and much of it should be attributed rather to the upcoming budget that he's supposed to present?
I think it's a very timely statement, because it is very high time for the banking industry to burn their all cylinder. RBI has already cut bank rate, and they have allowed more fund to be injected in open market, so that interest rate get lowered down and more investable surpluses come in the market, and then it will augment the growth process, because government wants to raise it is likely to be 5% growth rate in the current year, but government wants to fix target more than 6 or 7% for the next financial year. So it all depends on the banking industry. And if the credit flow will not come in substantial manner, it will not augment the development process, and also so many sectors who are willing for more and more cheaper debt, cheaper funds, so that they invest more and more in the domestic market. And also it is very good for the banking industry, because they also want to enhance their business. And there was some shrinking because of the RBI's policy, because they want to cut inflation rate rather. They were not favoring the idea of cheap money policy, so that RBI was not lifting the bank rate, but now they have already slashed by 2.25% margin. So it has allowed banks to go for the lower interest rate and try to inject more and more funds in the open market, and that is why P. Chidambaram has taken this clarion call for the banking industry.
Okay. How do you look at this story which says that the government might be extending the tax holiday on dividends earned overseas, because it's believed that the government is hoping now that this particular move would be encouraging corporates to plow funds back into the country?
It has two meaning, because we are now producing so many our domestic multinational player also, and they have investable surplus. They will invest it in domestic market as well as in the foreign market. And since the news is saying that the income earned on the foreign investment dividend, it has been waived out of the tax regime. So it will, I think it will promote our domestic business to invest more and more in foreign venture, and if they get income, government will not take any charge in terms of taxes. So it will allow them to go more for investment in the foreign venture, and it will also invite from the other route, the domestic route like Mauritius route and all. And it will, I think it will definitely give incentive to the investors in both terms, in the domestic terms and in foreign terms also. And since GAR has already been lifted, because it was thought it was not very supportive for the foreign investor. So they were some afraid of, because they were afraid of this rule, and government has already lifted this GAR provision till 2016. So I think this decision it also can be seen in that context.
Okay. How do you look at the thing that government might be even putting curbs on the lowest airfares, because he does not want that, because it's believed that the government would not want the carriers to bleed themselves, because there is this cutthroat competition, which is why they keep lowering their airfares. It would like to put a curb on this. How do you look at this move?
Actually, I think the Indian aviation industry is facing lots of trouble. You already know the Kingfisher airline is already grounded. Air India was not doing well, but now it has started to do well under the leadership of Civil Aviation Minister Ajit Singh. He has taken so many measures for lifting the business of Air India, and now Air India has got its confidence. It has already acquired all those routes which were not said very profitable route for the aviation industry. But now it has done well, and it has started to perform in a very better manner. But I think government should try to give some more incentive to the aviation industry. They should make the ATF more cheaper, because our the domestic ATF price is very costlier than that of international ATF price. Even the airports like GMR, who runs Delhi, and the Bombay private player, they take airport handling charges. So it ultimately affects the traveler, air traveler, and it makes the airfare very costlier.
Very costly.
Now, if government has brought some ceiling on the airfare, so it will definitely allow air travelers to more and more travel through air route, and it will also help to regain business confidence on the part of the aviation industry. But I think more should be done for lifting the morale of the aviation industry.
Yeah.
It is not facing very well, because cost is very high and surplus is very less.
But since it's planning to put a curb on the lowest airfare, I'm sure this may not be a very good news for the passengers, those who are used to traveling at least on a decent
that's true.
airfare.
That's true, because we were facing some cutthroat competition, as you already said. Even in airlines were charging even a meager amount like 500 for some domestic route. So, but it was affecting the business health. So, if government has fixed this minimum ceiling, I think it should be taken into account the interest of the traveler also. But let's see what is the minimum ceiling rate.
Okay.
If it is less than 1000 or 1500, then it will affect the air traveler who wants
There are also news doing the rounds now that the railway prices, there must be some sort of a tinkering which might be done with the railway fares because of the impact of the diesel the hike in the diesel prices. Is that a likelihood?
Yeah. Because see, diesel, electricity, these are the major component of railway inputs for their operational expenses, and we know railway is not also facing a very good business climate. Their whole turnover is just revolves around 1 lakh crore. It's such a very major public sector undertaking, public sector venture of the government of India, running for last 160 years. But the revenue model is not doing very good, because there is some political pressure, and there is a lots of imbalance between the passenger side and the freight side, because only 1/3 of the revenue comes from the passenger front, and they takes over 2/3 of the total railway cost. On the other side, the freight side takes only 1/3 of the total railway cost, but it generates 2/3 of the total railway revenue. So balance must be brought in the railway, and so far diesel wholesale prices has been increased in a very drastic manner. The 10 rupees per litre has been hiked on the wholesale purchasing of diesel, and railway is the wholesale purchaser of diesel. So it will definitely affect the revenue side of railway. So railway might increase the passenger fare in the coming budget.
Okay.
I hope so.
There is also a report by the ICRA which suggests in fact that the sugar prices may go up by about ₹2 per kg after the month of April. What would that mean for the consumer?
Okay, every sector needs cost and output balance. If the cost and output balance is not there, they faces very severe problem. And this is the same case with the agriculture, because farmers faces very high cost, but they don't get the better prices of their produces. So far sugar industry is concerned, the sugar cane is the major input for them, and sugar cane has been timely increased, and I don't say farmers, sugar cane farmers don't get very remunerative prices, they get, definitely they get. So for cotton and sugar cane is concerned, it's a cost plus prices which the farmers have been getting. Since sugar industry is not facing a very good scenario, the industry's machinery is very old, they need lots of investment, and since it is still a statutory regulation is there, because sugar cane prices are decided by the government, even the wholesale prices of the sugar for the free or for the levy is decided by the government. So since sugar industry sugar industry is not earning a very good surplus, so government has decided to hike their sugar prices by rupees 2 rupees 50 paise per kg, but it will affect the retail prices of sugar also, but that should be managed within their limit, so that both interests can be solved out.
Okay, so on that note, it's time here to thank you, Mr. Manohar Manoj. Quite a pleasure having you here. We'll take a very short break now in Perspective, and after the break, we'll analyze all the sports related news stories. Please stay with us.